YouTube, it's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, 8th Division World Champion, legendary, iconic Filipino superstar boxer, Manny Pacquiao, has agreed to face, in a shocking turn of events, undefeated, unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer who is widely considered to be top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr. With that said, Manny Pacquiao is 42 years of age. Manny Pacquiao, 62 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. He himself was knocked out 3 times. He's 42 years of age. He stands at 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. Last time we saw Manny Pacquiao in the ring was July of 2019 when he took on and defeated then undefeated, unified WBC, WBA, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who only had the WBA sanctioned body on the line due to the fact that he was stripped of the WBC title due to inactivity. With that said, Manny Pacquiao, surprisingly, is going to take on another young, hungry lion. In undefeated, 27-0, no losses, no draws, 21 wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age. He stands at 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was December 5th of 2020 when he took on and defeated 2-division world champion, superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, in which he got a unanimous decision victory over Danny Garcia, that being Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr. So with that said, this came out of nowhere. Everybody was completely surprised at an advanced age that Manny Pacquiao would take such a fight. Most people, the narrative, and most people felt that Manny Pacquiao would not take one of these young, hungry fighters at this stage of his career. Most people felt like Manny Pacquiao was looking for a farewell fight. Not any slight to 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia, but that was the route that most people thought he was going to take. Why? Not because Mikey Garcia is not a good fighter, but because Mikey Garcia stylistically is a better matchup for Manny Pacquiao than a big guy like Errol Spence or undefeated 3-division world champion who currently is the WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Terence Crawford. Mikey Garcia, 40 wins, 1 loss, 30 wins by way of knockout, no draws. He stands at 5'6" with a 68-inch arm reach. Mikey Garcia is 33 years of age himself. Last time we saw him in the ring was February of 2020 when he took on and defeated Jesse Vargas and via unanimous decision victory. So Mikey Garcia is slower. He's not as big as Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. He's not as athletic as Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. You know, actually, he fought Errol Spence and lost every single round in his debut at welterweight. So there's a reason why, you know, people feel like, you know, it's more compatible for Manny Pacquiao to take on a Mikey Garcia than it is for him to take on Errol Spence Jr. So with that said, Manny Pacquiao was reported to have possibly showdown with Terence Crawford June 5th, but that fell through according to legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum. As Bob Arum, he stated, well, you know, the investment group just didn't see it would be feasible for them to put up a certain amount of money. That was reported to be $50 million, $40 million to Manny Pacquiao, 10 to Terence Crawford, and they pulled away, citing that they didn't believe they could get a return on their investment. We later know that Bob Arum once again says Terence Crawford is just not a big draw. He's not a pay-per-view star, and he can't sell. With that said, now Manny Pacquiao, surprisingly, like I stated, turned his attention to Errol Spence. And while working out, Manny Pacquiao is back in training camp. He's back working out. He's back focused. This fight is going to take place August 21st. So Manny Pacquiao is shaking off rust because it's only in May. We're only in May, okay? So he's not deep in training camp yet, but he's just shaking off the rust. Obviously, soon enough, we'll start getting a press tour for Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao, you know, and then probably about the end of June, you'll see him seriously in training camp. The middle of June, end of June, he'll be back in LA, Las Vegas, Nevada at the Wildcard Gym with longtime trainer, Hall of Fame trainer, iconic trainer, in Freddie Roach, probably about the middle of June. With that said, he's just shaking out now. He's staying in shape, and getting his body ready for a grueling training camp. And Manny Pacquiao was asked, why did he take a fight of this magnitude? Such a fight that's, this is a risky fight at this stage of his career. What did he see in Errol Spence? Now, he gave Errol Spence props. He said that Errol Spence is a great fighter. He's young. But what did he see in Errol Spence? That he's slow. He says that Errol Spence is slow. You have to be very quick. You have to be able to get in and out with Errol Spence. And that's the way to beat Errol Spence. So essentially, he highlighted the fact that he's quicker than Errol Spence. He has faster feet than Errol Spence. And you have to be able to get in and get out, before Errol Spence can touch you. So that's what he's saying he sees. Now, we know Mikey Garcia, the whole build-up for their fight, Mikey Garcia was telling the world that he sees something in Errol Spence that he feel like he can exploit, and that was completely inaccurate. We saw Danny Garcia after the Sean Porter fight. Sean Porter, two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer. After Sean Porter and Errol Spence fought, Danny Garcia was saying that he saw tons of mistakes and tons of things in Errol Spence that he can exploit. And he nearly lost every single round in his fight with Errol Spence Jr. once he got in the ring, okay? Now, Manny Pacquiao, he's not saying he sees a bunch of flaws in Errol Spence Jr., but he says he believes that it's speed that's going to offset Errol Spence Jr., and we know Manny Pacquiao has tons and tons of speed. They're both southpaws. Errol Spence does have slower feet than Manny Pacquiao, okay? Manny Pacquiao definitely has quicker feet. But Errol Spence has more educated footwork. What I mean by that is Manny Pacquiao at times use unnecessary foot movement just to give you so many different angles, so many different looks. But you can start to time his footwork. It starts to become predictable, okay? It becomes repetitive. It's the same thing. He'll jump back, then he'll jump forward twice. He'll jump back, then he'll jump forward twice, It becomes predictable at times where you can time him. We saw a 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, Hall of Fame legend, Juan Manuel Marquez, in their last fight. He timed Manny Pacquiao. As Manny Pacquiao darted back, then go to dart forward. Well, Juan Manuel Marquez, he timed him right as the bell was getting ready to sound and caught him with a right hand and knocked him completely out, stone cold out, okay? And he did so because Manny Pacquiao, one step back, 2-3 steps forward. So he was able on a straight line, okay? Not always side to side. Now, he'll give you these little dips every now and then, but at times he'll jump straight back and then he'll dart straight forward. Now, they're both southpaws. The difference here is that we have to look at it from this standpoint. For one, Manny Pacquiao is 42 years of age. Is Manny Pacquiao going to suddenly lose his battle to Father Time, okay? Because Father Time is undefeated. We don't know if Manny Pacquiao suddenly is going to get old overnight and that hand speed and foot speed is not going to be there. Now, we know in the fight with Keith Thurman, when you look at the fight with Keith Thurman, in the first half of the fight, it took some time for Keith Thurman to get the speed and the timing down of Manny Pacquiao because he was very, very quick and very unorthodox. But as the fight went on, in the second half of the fight, you could see Keith Thurman start to time him, hit him with the jab, hit him with big straight right hands. But Manny Pacquiao has a sturdy chin when it's punches he sees coming. It's the punches he don't see coming that gets him knocked out. He was knocked out to the body twice early in his career. Then he was knocked out, obviously, by Manuel Marquez in brutal fashion in their fourth fight. But he can also be drastically outboxed. So we've seen him outboxed by Eric Morales and Floyd Mayweather. So we saw him losing every which way, okay? So with that said, Errol Spence has a long arm reach, 72-inch arm reach, similar to Floyd Mayweather, that of Floyd Mayweather, okay? Manny Pacquiao only has a 67-inch arm reach, so he's going to have a 5-inch arm reach advantage over Manny Pacquiao and nearly a 5-inch height advantage over Manny Pacquiao. The difference is Errol Spence is bigger and stronger than Floyd Mayweather at this juncture in his career. He's bigger and stronger than Keith Thurman. Now, Keith Thurman is one that has a lot of power in both hands, and his power comes from his speed, okay? Errol Spence is not as quick as Keith Thurman, but he's more precise than Keith Thurman. Now, Keith Thurman, he'll utilize the ring, and because he's moving so much, he's not sitting down on all his punches all the time. For the most part, Errol Spence is going to be somewhat a flat-footed, and I understand what Manny Pacquiao is saying, where because Errol Spence is flat-footed, he can use his speed and his angles, his hand speed, and his foot speed to get in. And Errol Spence does have a bad habit of going into a high guard when he's on the defensive and when you're on the offensive, right? And so you can score points in that manner. But as the fight goes on and he gets comfortable, he'll counter you in those positions. And Errol Spence is stronger than Manny Pacquiao, okay? So in his range, he's shown us that he can box from the outside as well. He can utilize his boxing ability, his jab. As we saw, he nullified Mikey Garcia with his jab. Just kept him at bay, just used his jab, and just outpointed Mikey Garcia. He outboxed the boxer. You had guys like legends, Hall of Famers, icons in Sugar Ray Leonard who said that Mikey Garcia was going to outbox Errol Spence because he simply was Mikey Garcia, and he's a great boxer. Well, Errol Spence beat him at his own game and outboxed him the entire fight. Used his height, used his range, and used his controlled the distance and the pace of the fight. And Mikey Garcia, he said that Errol Spence was a lot smarter than he thought he was. For every time he made an adjustment, Errol Spence was 2 steps ahead of him. And in this fight, Errol Spence, I believe, can make it a easy fight by using his jab, using his range, controlling the pace and the distance of the fight. When Manny Pacquiao starts to dart in, just tie him up, as Floyd Mayweather did. You just tie him up, hold him, make the referee break, make him restart. He starts to become predictable because he starts to become frustrated. Manny Pacquiao, when you start to predict the pace of the fight and you control the range, he starts to get frustrated and he starts to want to dart in. Keith Thurman wasn't controlling the pace of the fight. He wasn't controlling the range of the fight. Keith Thurman was just trading and fighting with Manny Pacquiao. That allowed Manny Pacquiao to have openings, Keith Thurman making mistakes and him capitalizing on them. So in this situation, Errol Spence can make it easier for himself by just controlling the pace, controlling the distance. Don't look to walk him down until later rounds, okay? Let him start to fatigue, let him start to wear down, get the timing and the distance down right, get his rhythm down, and then start to walk him down with a high guard and put pressure on him, okay? But it's best for you to control the distance, control the range, let him get frustrated for the first half of the fight, because he will. Manny Pacquiao is a fast starter. He wants to start off fast, okay? He wants to make an impression on the judges very, very quickly, immediately out the gate, and he wants to make an impression on you. He wants to get you flustered. So Errol Spence uses his range, uses his power. They're both southpaws. Use his jab, use his straight left hand, and he should be able to control the distance of the fight. But if Manny Pacquiao is able to use his foot speed, his angles, and his hand speed, and it's still there, it could be a very tough fight for Errol Spence, but I still see Errol Spence winning the fight. So let's see if what Manny Pacquiao truly sees is something that he can make come to fruition. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like your shitty videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
This is Amanda, the real deal Serrano, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.